So welcome to day 4 of the setup. What we will do today, we will deploy the infrastructure manually, whatever we have created before, the Terraform code, the Docker image, we will deploy everything manually and check the infrastructure after deployment. So what we have done till today, we have created the Terraform files and everything which will deploy the infrastructure, and also we have created the Docker needed Docker file and the program and our program to build the Docker images. So now let's deploy the infrastructure, right? So let's go back to the infrastructure, and so I have opened the terminal. You can open whatever terminal you want to use, and then remember you have already cloned the GitHub repository. So what you can do, you can go inside this ECS Fargate repository. I am inside this repository. Let me clear the screen. And first of all, you have to configure your AWS credentials, the one that I have told you. And then you need to give your secret access key and everything. And that's it. So after that, we need to go to Terraform, because where our Terraform is there. And then if you remember, first of all you need to create a bucket. So if you go to providers.tf and you see the bucket name where our Terraform states will hold. So if you go back and see, this is the bucket where the Terraform state will be hold. Now, so to do that, as we are doing it manually, so that's why I am inside the Terraform folder, and we will do the Terraform initialization and deploy from this Terraform directory. Whenever we will do it from the GitHub Actions in the last part of the series, we don't need to do it manually here. We just push the code to GitHub and GitHub will do that. So what we will do? We will do Terraform init. So Terraform init will initialize the backend. It will search for the S3 bucket and it will say, okay, the bucket is there and I can store the state file into the bucket. So the Terraform initialization is completed. So it can find the bucket and it can store the state in the bucket. So I'm clearing the screen again, and now the next part is Terraform plan. So let's see what it will do. So whenever I am doing Terraform plan, it will give me a plan what it is trying to do. So let's wait for a couple of seconds and it will give you the plan. So now it had given me the plan. So the 14th to add, what it will do, it will create a VPC, it will create a public subnet, private subnet, then the security group, the route table association, the route table public, and the internet gateway, policy attachment, the role, task definition, service, cluster, repository, CloudWatch log group, and everything will be everything is planned for deployment. Now I will again clear the screen and I will do Terraform apply, and I don't want to approve again, so I will do auto approve. So Terraform apply minus minus auto approve, that means Terraform infrastructure will be applied automatically without me approving. So let's wait for a couple of seconds for the deployment to complete. So we see now the Terraform repository or the Terraform infrastructure is deployed, and we can see the ECR repository URL has been given as our output, cluster name, service name, private subnet, public subnet, task definition is also created, and the VPC ID is also created. Now let's go back to our account, and first of all let's see the state bucket. So in the state bucket you see the state is stored here, Terraform's TF state. Now let's go to the container registry, container service, VPC, CloudWatch. That's it. So let's go one by one and check. So first of all, container registry. So we see that my application repo, this has been created, and this is the application repository that we have asked Terraform to create it, and it is a private repository. Now let's go to cluster, and I see that my ECS cluster is currently running. It is there, the service is defined, and one task is trying to run, but it will not run. Let me tell you why later. So the service and task is also created, the cluster is created, and let's see the VPC. My VPC is created, this is my VPC, and if we go to the resource map, we see one public subnet is created, another private subnet, public subnet having a public route table going to internet gateway with the internet, and that's it. And if we go to CloudWatch, under logs, log groups, we see ECS my container is currently running, and there are a couple of logs. There are at least two logs is there. There will be no logs inside of it, because you know why? The same reason why our task is actually stopped, and every task will be failed, because currently if you go to registry, we see there are no images. So the task is trying to pull images from the registry and try to run it, but as there is no images, it will not run. So if we go back to the task, inside of the task, you see here the error. Task stopped because the pull image manifest has been retired one times, failed to resolve latest. So there is no image named like this. So we have to upload the image. How do we do that? You remember I said we are doing it manually from local. So what we will do, we will build the Docker file. We will build our program, we will build the Docker file, and we will push the Docker file manually to this repository. How we will do that? We go back to our ECR container repository, and you see this is the repository, and under repository, inside of repository, if you go, there are a couple of view push commands you will see. So as I am using macOS or Linux, this is needed. If you are using Windows, you need to check this one. So I will go to macOS and Linux, and then I will follow the steps. So first of all, I will copy this one to get the user ID and password for our ECR repository, and I go back to terminal. So right now, if you see, I have deployed the Terraform infrastructure, but my Docker is inside another folder. So I have to go back, and I have to go to Docker. And then inside Docker, I will paste the code that I have copied. So this is for taking the repository ID password. So you see login succeeded. So whenever you give it, so it will try to log into this Docker repository for us. And then the next one is Docker build -t and then the repo. So my app repo, and this is the working directory. So cannot connect to Docker daemon because I am not running the Docker. So let me run the Docker first. So I will run the Docker. So my Docker is currently starting up and the Docker is running. So let's try to do that again, and it is trying to build, and the build is successful. The Docker image has been built. What are the next step? The next step is tagging my image with the latest tag. So I will clear the screen, I will paste the next command, and the tagging of image is done. And what are the next command? To push the image. So if I just copied the command and I will paste it here, and I push the image to our Docker repository, and that's it. Basically, it's still pushing the image. Let's wait for a couple of seconds, and that's it. So the pushing is completed. Now let's go back to our repository, and if I just refresh this one, we see the latest image is there with 46 or kind of 47.59 MB size. So now let's go back to our service and let's check our task. So if we see one task is provisioning, this one, and if we see the logs, there are currently no logs, okay, because the task is still in provisioning status. But if I now it is running, So B40, right? So let's go back to our CloudWatch logs and let's check the log. So I hope this one, and currently there is nothing. I'm not sure if it has took the correct image or not still now, but the logs are still not there. So let's wait for a couple of seconds. So after waiting for a couple of seconds, you see B408, and this is the latest task. B408 5DA, this is still running. I think this is done already, but if I just refresh this one, I think it is, yeah, I think this is done. B408 is now stopped, but it triggered the logs that hello world from ECS Fargate, now sleeping for 20 seconds, waking up, goodbye. Now if we go back to our program, we see this is the same thing that we have given hello world from ECS Fargate, sleeping for 20 seconds and waking up, goodbye. So we saw, great, we saw that our image is running on ECS Fargate. Now if we go back to our task, we see always one task is running and others are stopped, because our desired count, if you remember, we have given the desired count as here, sorry, here as 1. So always one task will be running. So this is what it is running. So it is now stopped, the latest task is stopped, so one more task is spin up. So this is how the ECS works. So if we have defined one service with a desired task 1, then always one task will be running. If you don't define any service, then the task will not run. It will run on ad hoc basis. You can run it manually, or you can trigger a event bridge rule to trigger your task whenever you want. This is also very important. Okay, so we have seen that our whole infrastructure is running. Our Docker image also is running with the program that we have defined. So our manual deployment is running. So what we will do, we will now destroy the whole infrastructure that we have created manually, because we will run it from our GitHub Actions. So our GitHub Actions, we will do the next one, where we want to run our whole, or we want to deploy our infrastructure from GitHub Actions, and the GitHub Actions will deploy our infrastructure, and then the task and services will run, and it will also build up the Docker image for us, so that we don't have to do it manually. So the next task is to task is to destroy the whole infrastructure. But before you destroy it, remember to remove the image from the repository. Otherwise, the repository will not be destroyed. So I will delete the image. Basically, this is this. Yeah, basically, we will as we will delete the whole infrastructure. So the image is now deleted, and then we go back to here and we go back to this one, and then to Docker, sorry, to Terraform. So we are in Terraform directory, and what we will do here is Terraform destroy minus minus auto approve. So we will do Terraform destroy and auto approve. So because why we are doing it, because we have done everything manually, so we want to destroy everything now, and we want to set up the GitHub Actions so that it will be deployed by GitHub Actions automatically. So hit enter, and your whole infrastructure will be destroyed. So let's wait for a couple of seconds. Okay, now we see the destruction has been completed, 4 thing destroyed. So now if we go back to here and we see no cluster is defined, if we go back to VPC, there is no VPC. At least let's see if the CloudWatch log groups are there. I think not. So the log groups are also destroyed. So the container registry is also gone. So everything is gone. So this is what I wanted to do here in this fourth part of the video, to give you an overview how we can manually deploy the files and folders. And now on the next part of the series, or the final part of the series, where we will deploy the whole infrastructure with GitHub Actions. Okay, so I really hope you do enjoyed this video, and if you are new to this channel, kindly like, share, subscribe, and comment your thoughts. Let me know what you liked and what you didn't. I will be back with the final and the fifth part of the video where we will deploy everything with GitHub Actions, and that will be the end part of it. And I hope you enjoy that. So I will be back with the final part of the series. Till then, take care and goodbye.